Yay,
real
we are
life.
live. Oh my goodness. Sorry, everybody. Is that when people watch back? Sorry, everybody, for the link complication. Yeah, we need to put links out to everybody now.
I'll put the link on the post on G Plus.
Yeah, if you could put something like Simon fucked up, he has no computer knowledge whatsoever. And here's the correct link.
Okay, I
I
posted the join link, and let me see if I can get the watch link. Let's see if it works. Okay, this should be the watch link. Yeah, the watch link works. There is no chat, but fuck it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay.
It was the chat that was fucking it up.
What?
It was the chat that was fucking it up.
I think you fucked it up, but and
I
then the chat, but
yeah. Whatever. I'm ill, so whatever.
yeah, you're real.
Sorry, please. Sorry.
Okay, the links are out.
Yeah, I'm just getting there. If you want to start off, I'm just typing out and sending out stuff. So carry on. We'll go for it.
Yeah. So last race of the season. Uh, yeah, last race of the season, and Nico won. We had uh, some interesting qualifying. Uh, Sebastian apparently, well, it's either him or the team. They fucked up, so it was starting from, I think, it was 13th, 11th, stuff like that. Was very far, so it didn't make the the qualifying properly. So yeah, nice race from Kimi. And what else? Come on, throw me a line
Okay.
around you.
Yeah, no, I'm back now. Okay, so I mean, it was a weird one. It was a weird one this week because I had quite high hopes. I was excited about it. It's a driver's track, so there's good opportunities, but uh, it seemed to go the same way as Mexico. There was no chance that Mercedes were going to let their cars race even, which was a bit disappointing. Um, yeah, Sebastian had a nightmare of a weekend. The whole
Mm.
weekend for him was just off key, which is very un-Sebastian.
Yeah,
But nonetheless, I think on the last race, they're not taking their best bits. Obviously, you know what I mean. They're cutting back, so I guess those mid teams were never going to be able to punch above their weight and catch Ferrari. That was always going to be the dream, wasn't it? That Williams and Red Bull were going to be able to maybe come a little closer to Ferrari.
yeah. There was actually um, the only proper fight was between, I think, Lotus and Force India, I think, or
Mhm.
some other team. I can't remember. And they said in commentary that the difference in money between getting fourth, and fifth on the championship, of fourth and third, stuff like that, it was
Yeah,
7 million euros.
euros. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
yeah. I mean, it's a lot,
it
if
is a
not
lot.
more. I mean, the first place to second place is also. Let me try and find those figures while you're talking. But of course, what we mean by, oh, if you want to find the figures, actually, that would be helpful since I'm on Linux. But what I'm talking about is, of course, the constructors' championship,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the main championship for the people that participate in F1, not the drivers' championship.
Yeah,
And it's the reason it's the main championship is because all the money is paid on the results of the constructors' championship.
yeah, and
So
there is a huge amount of money. I mean, especially for teams that are struggling. I mean, 7 million euros is not that much, compared to the cost of the car and stuff like that. But let's not forget, that I can't remember which race the mechanics in Lotus they did not have the hospitality, basically
Oh
they
yeah.
didn't have food.
Yeah.
So
The track kept them out of their own pit. Yeah, because they didn't pay the hospitality payment on
yeah,
for the track. So the
yeah.
track just said, "Well, you can't. None of you come in." So they couldn't bring the car into the circuit
Well,
or
yeah,
anything.
I mean, there was Bernie was basically, he bought them sandwiches. So yeah, which I think was one of the few times that I've actually seen Bernie giving money to someone else, for free. It must have been a nightmare for the guy. Yeah, but so yeah, I'm still of the idea that those last races. I mean, it is quite clear to me that, and it's quite understandable that Lewis lost a little bit of fire. I mean, it is understandable. I mean, he won the championship, so basically, uh, I wouldn't say he was lacking the drive to win, but it wasn't that compelling. But I still think that um, that Mercedes played quite a big role in the last races that Nico won. You
Hmm.
know, just to give
Yeah,
him a
yeah.
little bit of more of confidence. And
Right. There's the prize monies. I don't know if you can. Is that readable on your screen?
hmm
Okay, cool. Uh, so can you go through it? All right.
oh yeah, I gotta go there because it's really far. Uh,
Okay, so it
n-
says
no,
commercial
you
rights
gotta read
holders
it out
group.
because we
Yeah.
cannot see the numbers in
Okay.
the diagram. So
All right. So the commercial rights holders group, so that's the operating profit, looks to be, is that 18? Oh, one. How much? Oh God, that's million. So that's one. Is that? No, no, no. That must be 1.8 billion.
it is 1.8 billion. Yeah, that's the amount of money that all the this is the cost that the teams faced this year. Yeah, that was
Ah,
the
cool.
figure
Right,
which
right.
popped out.
Okay, so they made 1.8 billion, and
Mm.
50% of which goes to the Formula One group, and then 50% goes to the Formula One teams.
hmm
So that's 900 million each, and that breaks down to this year Ferrari getting 209 million, Red Bull getting 202 million, McLaren getting 120 million, Mercedes getting 141 million, Williams 94, Force India 81, Sauber 72 million, Lotus 89 million, Toro Rosso 68 million, Caterham 59 million, and Marussia 10 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 2014 breakdown. So this is the actual. This is actually what the teams got paid, not just those top 10 payments that the teams
Yeah.
get.
That was
A
last
couple of
year.
interesting bits. Yeah, a couple of interesting bits is what's that Ferrari payments extra? Do you want to? Can you see those?
No, I don't. But I know that some teams, and this was a big issue with Lotus. Uh, there are some teams that are called old teams or historic teams or stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they get a bonus just for for the fact that they are recognized as like historic teams, core teams, if you will.
Yeah.
And I don't think Lotus was part of that, and that was something that they discussed about it. They just wanted to be because there's a big money involved. So yeah, I think there is that, and yeah, but keep in mind, I mean, those are big figures, but um, I mean, the cost. The costs that are involved in the car salon are staggering. The out of this world.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
I don't know now because I have no idea, but some years ago, the Marelli was selling the processing units, how was it called? The EPU, the whatever how they call on the cars. I can't remember. And I think there were 5,000 euros each for minor parts, for minor sensors, and every F1 car had at least 4 of them. So it's 20,000 euros just for that part.
Yeah.
The
So
the
that's
the
equivalent to
yeah.
that's equivalent to about what, $24,000, something like that, maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, it's they're big numbers, but really when when you crunch them down and you apply to the actual expenses, that they're really peanuts. So
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. Okay, so I've just put up the driver salaries as well now. So I'll go through those quickly. So it
mhm.
says here, Hamilton signed a 3-year contract extension with pretty much the same basic salary of $31 million dollars a year. Significantly,
Yeah,
with a title bonus to $40 million dollars a year. Sebastian Vettel signed a 3-year contract with Ferrari, turning him about $50 million in the first year and $30 million a year plus bonuses afterwards, making him the highest paid driver in the lineup.
mhm.
Alonso, another big deal in his career, to McLaren. He signed a 2-year contract with option to extend to a 3rd year with an annual salary of $40 million. Jenson Button got a massive pay cut to sign a 2-year contract extension with McLaren to earn him around $8 million a year. His last
Yeah,
contract was about
those are
12 million.
yeah, those are 2015 figures. So that was actually what they were paid this year. And
This year, yeah.
yeah, and actually, I think I got to make a big shout out to Jenson Button. I mean, I always liked the guy. I mean, I think he's a really nice guy and he's really fast. And this year, he was ahead of Alonso, on the championship. And Jenson Button is someone which has always beaten his teammates. Let's not forget that. When he was, I mean, he beat Hamilton, he beat Alonso, I mean, on the same car. So, yeah.
He's fast, no doubt. He's
He
a
is
great
fast.
racer.
Yes,
He's a great racer.
I totally agree. Yeah.
I think one of the things I mentioned a little while ago was the point about Nico Rosberg being very consistent, right? And I think that Jensen has that ability as well.
Yeah, but the difference is that Nico Rosberg looks like, to me at least, looks like more like a Barrichello. It's a very good second
Okay.
second driver, but I mean Jensen actually can say, oh yeah, I mean I beat those guys on the same car.
Yeah.
So it's which is a big deal. I think
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, interesting you should mention Barrichello because, of course, that's who he beat for the championship,
Yeah.
right? So, nah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I really like Jensen because he's he's a bit more out there. He's a bit more giving than the other drivers. Not so much of a robot. Even the young drivers just seem very, very robotic to me. So you got to give Jensen huge kudos there because he's a character bigger than a Formula One driver.
Yes, no, absolutely. I mean, it's like Ricciardo. I mean, Ricciardo hasn't really delivered this year, but still, you want to interview him, you want to listen to him. He's a nice guy. He's a fast driver. He's really pushing, and it doesn't look like an ass.
I don't know. Sometimes he does.
Yeah,
Every now
but
and again,
yeah.
he'll say something a little bit just nonsensical, I guess. I mean, I
Yeah,
know he's
okay.
having fun with it, and
Yeah.
that's part of it. But nonetheless, and I like the guy. You know what I mean? His first year was
Yeah, okay.
was stunning.
let me put it this way: would you rather have a beer with Ricciardo or with Alonso?
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Alonso because
Because you're mental and you're heel.
because I'm
That's
mental. Yeah, but that's the reason. That's the reason. I mean, I would say Alonso because how he is adored by his fans,
yeah.
right? I mean that shows me that underneath it, he is a really nice guy that is probably very funny, very, you know what I mean? He's got everything. He just doesn't. He's not extrovert like Ricardo.
I, I, I would go with Ricciardo all the way. I mean, I can bet you money that the following morning I will have more interesting stories than you about the past evening.
Yeah, maybe you know a little more about this than I do.
No, I don't. It's just the way it seems to me. Yeah, but yeah, it's really cool.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah, so what else? Okay,
Well,
you
so the race first of all, just to get
yes.
back to it quick. So yeah, no, Abu Dhabi is a great circuit. I really like it, but for some reason, they're really holding off on the length of the DRS straights. Obviously, they've got to because of the eighth gear topping out, etc. But that seems to be one of the flaws that I've noticed about the DRS system. Um, is that even putting 8 gears in and having fixed gear ratios before the season starts didn't sort out the fact that cars were able to um, you know push the speed as much as they could. I thought that the top speeds could have been better in some instances with toes, and that's the thing I'm getting at there. The DRS, there should be more of a difference between the toe and the not toe with the DRS.
The DRS is among all the artificial stuff that you can put is the most artificial of all of them.
Mm.
I'd rather see something like in Formula Kart where they have basically a button that gives you more revs and more power, and you can
Mm.
use it whenever you want. You have a fixed amount of them, and you use them through the race, and that's it. But
Mm.
DRS, really, I mean, you're allowed to open only if you're below a second of the car in front of you, only on specific parts of the track.
Mm.
uh
Yeah, well, that's a good point you make, actually. Very good point. Because I don't like the push to pass buttons myself. I find they just counteract everybody. So if somebody
yeah.
comes up behind you, you know when he's going to use the push to pass. So you use
Hmm.
the push to pass, and his push to pass doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't like that. So I think maybe, yeah, extending the gap that within which the DRS is enabled would be helpful. So maybe a 2-second gap. Oh, but then uh, yeah, it's a real tough one, that, because then, of course, when cars are all line astern, you get back to the situation where no one's overtaking anybody.
Yeah. I mean, you see, it is still the same situation. I mean, if everybody has got the same advantage, on the same stretch of track, what you're really doing is that, yeah, I mean, there is a faster guy which is coming on your tail, and then he can pass you more easily,
Yeah,
and then it will go. So what I mean, it doesn't really make too much for the show of for the yeah, I mean, for the show, because I mean that guy would have probably passed you anyway, probably 2 laps later or 1 laps earlier. I don't know, but it's not
yeah.
really there. You know.
Well, going back in the old days when it was a serious problem, nobody overtook anybody. I mean, literally, you'd get maybe 4 passes in a race, and 2 of those would be on lap 1.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right, but I mean, you're just moving the goalpost. Well, yeah, now you've got passes, but how many times we have seen? I mean, since the DRS was introduced, how many times we have seen someone passing a guy on the straight, and then the same guy passing the other guy on the other straight, and vice versa. It just didn't happen.
Well, no, I don't agree with that
You know? Okay.
analysis. No, 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 because there are car differences. All right, if your car is
Hmm.
a half a second faster than the car in front, you can't get past. But if you did get past, you'd pull away. right? So it's that's the reason it was brought in, right? Is to address this thing, whereas you can and the gaps were much more significant. So it was getting to a point where you had to be like a second and a half a lap faster to be able to overtake,
Mm.
and
Well, I
that's
mean,
just crazy because
yeah,
you know
I don't know.
nobody's
I mean,
overtaking at the front. So I
yeah.
think that's why it was brought in to address that. Well, if you've got a faster car, you can't get close. So obviously, it's trying to make a difference in the fact that the disturbance of the air over the car really critically means you go around the corner that much slower that you can't even get close to the car on the next straight, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think I see your point, but still, I see that, as really artificial. Well, the
Yeah.
car coming on the back of you has to be faster to close the gap in order to use the DRS, and then he's passing you because of the DRS. Now, I mean, I understand that, many times in the past that didn't happen because, the difference might have been so small, and when you come behind a car, it's really tough to pass someone.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know, it's just me, but I don't really get excited when someone is passing someone else with the DRS. So it doesn't really, I mean, it's good for TV, but it doesn't really tell you anything, about, oh yeah, that guy was, he had a really late break point and he just went all in. I mean, I don't know, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I would
it's
kind of again. I disagree in the respect that I like it in one way is that it gives the car behind a chance to overtake and see if they are faster. I
mhm,
mean, if they're not faster, then you're right. They're just going to get overtaken again in the next lap.
yeah,
But quite often with Formula One, of course, the cars, are on different setups, different fuelings, whatever, in the past, different fuelings.
yeah,
Um, so, you would get this variation, which would mean that the cars would be very static. And all they needed was just to get up behind the guy and get
mhm,
a tow, and they could get past, but
yeah.
they could just never get up behind him because of this problem of, running your wing in dirty air,
Mhm.
making the car so much slower, both off the corner, into the corner, and through the corner. So either you get rid of wings, right, and we go
which
back
which
to
I will absolutely love. I mean, not get rid of wings altogether, but I think, a serious reduction in wings would be fantastic.
hmm.
I mean, I would love to see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm when I hear you say it, I go. When I said it, I went possible. When I hear you say it, I go, nah, really. What Formula One car without wings? Come on, what?
No,
What?
no, no. I mean, the smaller wings, and you will be forced to actually make cars with more mechanical grip. And I mean, and you could see. I think you could see more interesting things. I mean, you would probably will not see cars sideways in all the corners, but I mean that might just happen.
Yeah.
Um, well, I mean, I'd love to say. I mean, come on, let's be honest. I mean, they've been trying everything and his brother. Okay, DRS, the
Yeah.
skirts, whatever the fuck. Okay, so I mean, let's give that a try and see what it goes. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much the rear wing affects the undercar aerodynamics, but I guess that's what I would go with more under the car aerodynamics, and
Yeah, it's
because we
it's
want to
most.
keep.
Oh,
Go ahead.
no, I think it's mostly, funnily enough, I think the problem is more with the front wing than the rear wing. I mean, those cars, they cannot steer. I can guarantee you, if you take an F1 car and you try to drive around, in the city, the first roundabout, you will not be able to make a roundabout. I mean, you
Mm.
steer and the car just goes straight ahead. That they rely so much on aerodynamics, just to work, which to me, they they went a little bit too much, far.
Mm.
So
Um. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I agree. It's a really difficult balance, and
It is.
I mean, one of the things they're doing for I don't know, maybe next year, or maybe it might not be. Well, I should go and find out really. But one of the things they're doing in the future is to lower the wing, make it wider, and that's
Hmm.
going to make the problem even worse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, everybody's identified a problem, and they've gone for a different solution, which doesn't seem to be on face addressing the issue.
Hmm.
Um, but obviously, if they're wider wheels, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
And they
there is also, I think, a problem with the tires. I mean, everybody wants softer tires. Next year they're going to introduce a softer tire also, and they want to race with those tires. They're really grippy. They shred after a few laps. Then you're forced to pit and change the tires, and everybody is passing each other when you're pitting. But again, everybody wants softer tires because it's faster actually to make 10 laps and then change tires and make another 10 laps and change tires. And I can understand, it is faster. I mean, if you watch the times, you say, oh, wow, those guys were fast. But bloody hell, it is a bloody boring race, you know. So
yeah.
I'm not really sure about softer tires too.
Okay, I've got a couple of picks or a pick of a 2016 car. So we'll just have a quickie looky at that.
Hmm.
Right. So that's the Haas. Let me have a.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I mean, actually, it's not as bad as this 2017 car. So
Yeah.
that's good news. Um, my computer's so slow. That's as soon as I want it to do anything. I mean, what happened there? See what I
And
mean?
you click a YouTube link.
I pressed the button. Better not play a YouTube vid just in case. Anyway, that's the Haas. Okay, well, that's the Red Bull.
Oh, talking about Red Bull, have you heard about the engine?
uh, no, I haven't. Go
Well,
ahead, please.
apparently, I don't know. I checked before we went online, so there were not still news, but they said that that they have basically signed a contract and they found a new engine, and what will probably happen is that they will be racing a Renault engine under a different brand. It will probably be and that was going to be fantastic. I mean, it's just a brand, so it doesn't make any sense. But the name will probably be Tag Heuer Red Bull engine or Tag Heuer engine, which but it will basically be a Renault engine with a different development than the official Renault engine.
Yeah. Well,
So
I heard. Yeah, I
yeah.
heard they had to. Basically, they have to give it another name so they can do
Yeah,
development on
it
it.
will probably Tag Heuer Infinity engine. It will be a Renault engine because
Yeah.
Red Bull took the short stick. They they tried and tried and they failed miserably on the engine front. Yeah, I mean that was insane. I don't know. I don't know what possessed them to do that bad. I mean, well, anyway, but yeah, and
I
on
guess. I guess. To be honest with you, I have a feeling I know a little bit there, which
mhm.
is the power on the test bench, but the new Renault engine on the test bench probably put out more power, but at the cost of higher temperature. So when
Mhm.
they actually put it into the body, when they actually put it in the car, of course, it started overheating, which meant they had to reduce the power from the engine. So I
Okay.
think that's just to get it to the end, basically. So they probably put it in Ricardo's car, sort of thinking, well, it's got more power, so let's stick it in, and then found out that it was going to explode if they kept running at full whack. So they probably
Yeah.
just turned it down, because it was a terrible race he had. I mean,
It
you
was a
could tell he
terrible
was
race.
unhappy.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that he was slow; he was also really unhappy with the car. I mean,
Oh yeah, absolutely,
it
absolutely.
was.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't as unhappy as the guys in McLaren. I mean, McLaren was bloody hell. This year was fucking incredible. I mean, McLaren and Honda.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
you would say, okay, I'm betting money on those guys. That was that was oh boy,
Yeah, I mean,
so bad.
of course, Alonso moved from what was a relatively good car coming second,
Hmm.
all right, to
Yeah.
a back of the thing. I mean, we know why he did it because he said, "I'm fed up coming second in Ferrari,"
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
which shows actually that Vettel didn't do that good a season because he wasn't second, he was third.
Yeah. I mean,
You
and to
know,
be fair, Alonso didn't got second this year. So yeah, I mean, he made a good point actually. So
yeah.
yeah, it wasn't second. It was way there. I
It was
mean,
much worse. But I
bloody
mean,
hell.
the whole thing, right? Because of the way he left McLaren before, okay, all of the scandal and what have you, and he fell out with the management, and he was very disappointed in the car, and he felt Lewis was getting preferential treatment and this kind of thing. So he falls out with them, literally falls at not just like, okay, well, shake hands, never mind, it didn't work out, but
Hmm.
literally falls out with them. And
Yeah.
then here he is back, begging them, well, not begging them for a job, and I can see now by his pay packet, right? That's why he moved. I mean, obviously,
Oh yeah.
Ferrari weren't prepared to pay him the same price that they were prepared to pay Vettel.
Yep.
So what does that, see what I mean? That doesn't say good things about Ferrari.
Well, I mean, the situation with Alonso and Ferrari uh, was all over the place. So they had to make a change.
Okay,
Uh,
right.
I
Well, that
think
makes
it
more
was.
sense.
Sorry.
That makes more sense. That makes more sense then as to why Alonso
Yeah.
jumped ship for a good
Yeah,
deal
oh
at
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
back-to-back
They
team.
they yeah they had big arguments in the team. I mean, if you listen to what Barrichello said, I mean even when Barrichello he left Ferrari. I mean, but it was. I mean, if you hear what he says, he's still every time Alonso says something, Barrichello says, "Oh, that guy's full of shit." So it's the situation was. I think the situation was really, really, really difficult. So I think that
Hmm.
was the only option for both of them. But I've read Ron Dennis says yeah, they're gonna have a new engine for next year, and okay, good luck with them, because I mean they had to make a new engine. Of course they're gonna make a new engine, but that doesn't really says a lot about this engine or whatever the
Yeah, yeah,
package was.
yeah.
So mm,
Well, I'm hopeful again. Actually, for all McLaren fans out there, I am hopeful again because Honda have had a full year now to realise why their first design wasn't right.
well, yeah, let me put
So.
it this way: it's gonna be tough for them to make worse than this year. So yeah, eventually it will be a better year.
Mm. But I mean, one of the things. I mean, when I think back to Honda's last venture, the Honda racing
Hmm.
team, uh, I mean, their engines have always been top power.
Yes.
They've never come to Formula One without a top power engine.
Hmm.
I don't see them, like Alonso. I guess I don't see them producing two bad engines in 2 years running. Not like
Yeah.
BMW did.
Yeah, no, no, yeah,
You
you're
know?
right. There is that, but I mean, still, I think it was quite astonishing for everybody. I mean, it's a new engine, new year. You could expect, expect some problems and stuff like that, but that was ridiculous. That was really bad. But
Well, again, I don't think it's the engine. It was the rest of it, right? I mean, it seems to have come out towards the end of the season that in fact it was the ERS units that were not giving long enough charge, so they were only getting 20 seconds of full power a lap, whereas all the other teams were getting 30 seconds of full power. Right. So,
Well, I mean, I don't
that's
know. I mean, yeah.
that's a big drop in performance on lap by lap basis.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens.
So, well, if they've got any sense, they'll get they'll buy a Mercedes ERS unit and stick that on it.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Yeah. So what else? There's gonna be new tires for next year. Just to prove me wrong, they're gonna make a new softer tires, the purple ones.
Okay. Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
Qualifying tire, presumably.
Yeah. Oh, and
I mean,
I saw a post, a scheme about the new rules for next year tires. And do you remember what we said at the beginning, that you have no idea how the tokens work, for development of the car and stuff like that?
for the engine, yeah.
Yeah. Now, compared to the new rules for the tires, the token system is like the most simple thing ever devised by human mind. It is gonna be a fucking nightmare. 3 tires will be chosen by Pirelli for each race, and then the other guy, I mean, every driver will choose another tire. It's gonna be a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Funnily enough, I'm going to try and find it, but someone called Nomo sent me a picture of McLaren's prototype McLaren car, which
Oh, the
presumably
MP4.
is
MP4X.
presumably it's done to show what an enclosed cockpit would look like.
Yeah, to be fair, I think 10 years ago, Red Bull made a similar concept and he presented that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's not new. I mean, it is cool, but that's not new. And I mean, to be fair, I know I'm probably biased, but if you remember, Ferrari made made another design of new car project, whatever the hell, which I think was quite cooler. It has no closed cockpit, and the wheels were not covered. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, when there is really not too much, not much to do, in designing an F1 car. So if that's funny, but
Yeah. Sorry, could you say that again for me? I was just doing other things in the background.
no, I was saying that Red Bull 10 years ago, they made a similar prototype. I mean, they showed a similar prototype. And Ferrari made presented some other prototype stuff like that. So yeah, it's cool, but
Okay.
see
Can you find a picture of it for me?
Oh yeah. I'll put the picture right here. Let me see. Okay, this was the. Okay, hold on a second. Oh no, that's not. I'm trying to find the biggest one I can find. Oh, this one. This one might be.
It should be.
Okay, this one, yeah. I'll show. This one. Okay, this was the Red Bull concept 10 years ago.
Right.
Which is, yeah. I mean, it's not the same.
Okay.
Of course, it's not the same. But it seems to be one of those things that people have fun doing that sometimes, and they just say, oh, see what we can do, haha, that's gonna be really cool. We're never gonna make it because we cannot we cannot make heads or tails of the rules that we want to put. And Ferrari presented another concept. Let me see. Okay, this one. It's a. Let me see. Which I kind of like it more. I think it's more a racing car, but Might be just me. So it's not a close. Yeah. You see,
Yeah,
it's
I don't like it. I mean, I don't
yeah,
like it
it's
myself. I mean, I think it looks. I don't know. It just looks like it's a computer game. I mean, we're just, you know what I mean?
oh yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, those cars are cars like for computer. I mean, the problem is that if you don't have the rules, you could do something like that. You see and say, oh yeah, that's really cool. But if there are no rules, what the hell are you talking about? You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah. I mean, that looks pretty sweet, though. I've got to
it
say that
is. Yeah.
because it's not enclosed, though, is it? Is it
No,
enclosed?
no, 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 no way. No.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
let me put up. Let me share. Let me share the Nomo one that he sent me because he's got a few of these. Okay, let me just do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this is the new McLaren MP4. If you want to talk
Hmm.
about it while I go through, so there's
Yeah.
your front camera.
I've got another picture here, so yeah, we can put. Yeah, that's basically a SIM car. Yeah, I honestly don't know. I mean, I don't like the closed wheels, even if they're safer. That's without any doubts they are safer,
Mm.
and I don't like the closed cockpit at all. So basically I don't like those cars. So what else can I say? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they just make no sense to me. I mean, to me, an F1 car has got to have, open cockpit but especially open wheels. It has to be that. So that's just
Why do you think that's? Why do you think that's really necessary?
because I mean this is what formula means. Literally, it's formula is a word which has always defined open wheels cars. If you want to have really good, sleek aerodynamics and stuff like that, there is endurance racing. This is what they were born. If you want a closed cockpit, you go endurance. Those were cars which they are built to race for 8 hours, 12 hours during the night and all that stuff. And yeah, you need a closed cockpit and you need closed wheels because they're going to be all sort of accidents and stuff like that. But formula cars, I mean, I can understand something that you put behind the wheels, like to do in formula kart, for example, and that's a big safety thing, which I kind of agree. They basically avoid you jumping on other wheels, so I can see that. But I mean, this is basically a closed wheel car with a cockpit. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I will play that in a video game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. I mean, that's all good. I think, and I agree with you certainly in terms of how it looks, and also how careful it makes the drivers. Right.
Hmm.
It's noticeable in other closed wheel formulas how the drivers have a little phrase called bumping. It's just rubbing, son. And there's nothing you couldn't even contemplate doing that in a Formula One car.
Yeah,
So that makes the racing much more spiky, I think, in terms of the
yeah,
danger of it.
and we also
Um,
talked about that. I think some race ago about when we're talking about closed cockpits, and there's some problems with closed cockpits right now, and funnily enough, the fact that you have to access the driver is not even the biggest one. The biggest one so far is the fact that by rules you got to have an extinguisher in the car. Now that has never happened, but if the extinguisher goes off, during the race and you are in a closed cockpit, you're dead. There is no way
Yeah,
around it. You're fucking dead,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So there
I
is
mean,
that. Yeah.
well, I mean, they were talking about using the same system that they use on, you know, fighter planes for
Yeah,
an
but
ejection system for the cockpit.
fighter planes do not have fire extinguisher in the cockpit. They don't. I mean, that's gonna be useless,
Mhm.
If there's gonna be fire, you gotta eject. They have a fire extinguisher in the cockpit, and it's actually useful
Uh-huh.
because if the car is engulfed with flames, it just pops up and it covers you. So that's useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of the things I'd like to defend the closed cockpit, closed wheels kind of idea, maybe, and this is just throwing it out there on the spur, but if it did allow the cars to significantly be changed so they could, run alongside each other much more closely.
Hmm.
I, if you could run in the tow, if you could run in behind someone's wake much more easily because the cars were redesigned to allow you to do that, then I wouldn't necessarily be against it.
Yeah, but again, this all boils down to aerodynamics. If you develop a package which is sensible to aerodynamics, the moment you put something in front of it is gonna be fucked up. So uh, basically, you're
Yeah.
saying okay, less wings and less less pressure on the car, which I agree.
Yeah.
I mean that would be the only thing I would agree
Hmm.
on with that scenario if that's feasible. I don't know because uh, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to thank Nomo for sending me those pictures as well. Much appreciated.
Yeah,
Yeah. So okay. So we'll come to some conclusions, I guess,
yeah,
and say anybody, if you want to drop in, whoever the viewers are, please. There should be a join link down below. And finish off the season in a party fashion would be good. The second thing is just to say though, so Abu Dhabi, pretty much race as usual. I guess that sets us up for next year of the two Mercedes drivers being equal when they come onto the grid at the beginning, and
hmm,
that's got to be a good thing.
yeah,
Really looking forward to Ferrari's car. I think their car's been a little bit pants this year, if I'm honest. I
hmm,
think they made huge improvements in the engine,
yeah,
and that's so good to see, especially as it's reliable.
yeah.
Um, I think there are question marks over that. Maybe their DRS system is not quite, maybe their system isn't quite as sophisticated as Mercedes. So perhaps there's some room to catch up there. Um, the mid teams have just been all much of a muchness. I'm really disappointed with how bad the Mercedes engine has been in the back of the other cars, the customer cars.
Hmm.
Really disappointed. And
Yeah.
I really hope that changes next year, that the Mercedes customer engine is at least on a par uh, with their works engine.
Yeah, that really, I mean, that really looked like a second class engine. I mean, I understand, the customer engine is not, the works engine, but I mean, that was wow.
Yeah, second half of the season, it seemed that the development of the Mercedes team was so far above all of their works
Yeah,
teams that it made it look like the engine was bad.
mm,
You know,
I agree. No, I totally agree with you.
so they're going to have to do
Uh,
something about that next year.
yeah. So what? We're done.
Pretty much. I mean, just talk about the season in general.
Yeah.
Obviously, Lewis is the champion, which is well deserved again, I feel.
Hmm.
Um, none of the other teams came close to matching Mercedes' development rate this year, so they're well deserved champions, I guess. And it sets it up for a brilliant year next year with Ferrari really showing some massive improvements towards the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Ferraris. I mean, they never start the season, thinking about competing with Mercedes. I mean, they were quite clear at the beginning that I mean they were trying to win, one, two, and if it came to free races, it would have been all over the place. So the expectations were low because they knew what they was, the project they were starting with. I think next car is going to be interesting because next year is going to be the one which is going to be really interesting for Ferrari.
Yeah.
They started with the new package this year. They with a new driver. They I think they made a nice team. Uh, Surely, Sebastian brought a lot in the team. It was really a team player. So, but next year is going to be the year where they have to say, okay, we learned some stuff, and this is what we're going to do. So next year is going to be tough.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that. Well, I mean, when the testing starts, that Ferrari really come out strong. I mean, I can't see any reason why they wouldn't, and especially with the Haas team next year, then they're going to have somebody in the midfield to back them up, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just like the Mercedes teams have been doing, all of the Mercedes teams, the customer teams, they all target Ferrari, right?
Mhm.
All the way through the year, we heard Williams saying, "Well, we're targeting Ferrari. If we can
Yeah.
just get on the back of Ferrari, we've got a chance because we're faster."
Hmm.
So, with the Haas team in there as well, I think that'll distract some of the other teams' early season and allow Ferrari a good start.
Hmm. And
I'm really looking forward to it.
Toro Rosso will have the Ferrari engines too next year. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would be interesting. As you know, it was basically an Italian team. It was the ex Minardi, and
Hmm.
so most of the technicians are Italian. So there is a good. It seems to be there is a good feeling between them. They were in Fiorano yesterday, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, with a car. I don't know what they tried. They were in test.
Really?
You're not supposed to test, but yeah, they were in Fiorano.
Mm.
So
That's weird because there's testing going on at Abu Dhabi this week.
yeah, I don't know if they sent a car just to see, the how does the engine fit. How you have to
Yeah.
basically mock up the car, stuff like that. But they're working on that, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool that it's going to be exciting. And judging by the car that Toro Rosso made this year, that might
Oh,
be
it's
even more
fantastic.
interesting than us. Yeah.
Yeah, I was again. That's definitely worth a mention now. Toro Rosso just were out of their skin this year. They did a fantastic job, I thought.
Yes.
I mean, whereas most of the other teams dropped away towards the end of the year, Toro Rosso were consistent throughout the year. So obviously they've got a good development program.
Yeah. Toro Rosso is Red Bull B team.
Yeah.
Literally, this is where they raised the young shenanigans, and all the stuff, and instead of trying on the big car. But I think this year, there was sometimes that I think Richard and Kiat would have swapped for a Rosso any time of
Yeah, a couple of times maybe.
yeah.
A couple of
Absolutely.
times. Not the wages though. But there you Okay. So yeah, it's been a good year. I think that's the main thing. It could have been, we've been hoping that Mercedes would let their cars race like they did in that first year. And in hindsight, on that first year, do you think they're right not to let them go as much as they did before? I mean, they were
Yeah, I
taking
think
each
so.
other out, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, I think so. I don't think that was the best management of the drivers I've ever seen. To be honest, I think there are a couple of persons in there. I really respect a lot Toto Wolff. I really do.
Hmm.
I think that sometimes Niki Lauda would have been better. I don't know, driving the truck or just going out and yeah, and buy water for the people. Yeah, I'll give you some money. Just but because there was some things that he said that was really, come on, really, come bloody hell. So I don't know,
Yeah,
but
you're probably right. But then we probably got all that great racing because of Niki Lauda going, nah, let him go. They'll be all right.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, on the other hand, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there were some things which I didn't like, but you know what? It's all good for the show. I mean, that
Yeah,
was
I've
brilliant
got
to
to say.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to going back in a couple of years and rewatching last year,
Hmm.
just to go. Oh, yeah, it was a lot closer than I thought.
Yeah.
But but there we go. So yeah, it's been a great year, I think, really in general. Again, I don't seem to mind the sound being, down a little bit anymore. I've kind of forgotten about that. Um, it's kind of Formula One as usual with this new format. I'm not keen on having turbo engines anyway. I mean, so
Yeah, I think that the problem is the show. And again, this is something that we always said, F1 has got to make up their mind if it's a show business or, technical. And I'm all for technical, but, if it's too technical, only a few people will enjoy watching that. If you really want to have fun, you watch I don't know, a MotoGP race or a kart race. I mean, those guys are really literally throwing shit, to each other, from the cockpit. But it's a different
yeah,
show. But I think I mean, they have to go in a way. If they want to mm, to have people watching that, they have to give up a little bit, on the technical side. Especially if they keep racing in godforsaken places like Abu Dhabi or what the fuck they were racing this year.
yeah,
In places where there is no, well, I wouldn't say passionate, but there is no culture or stuff like that. I mean, I'm still shivering when I think that there is no French GP or German GP. That's a travesty. It's really a big shame.
yeah. I completely agree with those two. I mean, Manico was Manico. I'm not sure how
Yeah.
you pronounce it, but it was a fantastic circuit. I mean, there's no
Hmm.
doubt about it. Really, really challenging. And some fantastic corners on it. So I hate the fact that that one got taken out. Although, admittedly, danger is a problem, and they've got to be safe circuits.
No, but I mean,
The
have
other
you
one is
seen?
Hockenheim.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I
mean,
mean, have you
Hockenheim.
seen how the German and the French drive? I mean, they deserve an F1 race,
Oh,
So,
definitely, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, Vettel. Hello, 4 times
yeah.
world champion, and he hasn't
Rosberg,
got a
come on.
GP.
Yeah. I mean, and how fun would have been, to have a French GP with those Renault engines of this year,
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah. I mean,
That would have put
I would,
pressure.
yeah.
That would have put some pressure on him. Yeah, that would
Oh,
have put
yeah.
some pressure. Yeah,
Absolutely. So,
yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's fair enough.
yeah. But anyway, this is where the money is, and apparently this, F1 goes. And to me, it's okay. I'm
Hmm.
not complaining too much. I'm a little bit sad, but I'm not complaining too much. But at least, give us something to, funny to watch. And I mean, the TV has made giant leaps. If you remember, I mean, 10 years ago, the only thing you could see is, the first and the second driver, running around. And, you couldn't see for the sake of it, a fight between, the fifth and sixth and the seventh and stuff like that. Now they're
Yeah,
way more all over the place, which is funny, but come on.
yeah. No, absolutely. I agree with that. One of the things I did complain about, maybe a little more than 10 years ago, was the fact that it used to be circuit directors that controlled the feed, the world
Hmm.
feed, and I think that's changed slightly. I
Yeah.
think it is still the case where they're still involved, but I think they've been trained, or maybe the people that get put into that position as the TV feed director for the circuit, I think they're more controlled now, because you don't just get them focusing on, like we used to go to the Japanese Grand Prix and you'd only ever see the Honda going around, and
Yeah.
never mind the Williams in first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's an exaggeration because it was never that bad at Japan, but other circuits were definitely like that, you know, where they would only focus on the home driver. So I'm glad that's changed. I don't like the coverage of the last 5 races, maybe 4 races. I've been a bit upset about in terms of, you know, they're going back to the thing where they're trying to. It seems like they're just trying to find cars that are next to each other,
Yeah.
not necessarily cars that are fighting with each other,
Hmm.
and that's a little disappointing. There was some great stuff in the last race, yeah, in Abu Dhabi, I think it was. Maybe it was Singapore, where Lewis was catching up like at a second a lap, and he was only like 5 seconds behind, right? And we didn't see any of the catch up. Yeah, literally all we saw was, oh look, he's dropped back again. You know, and that's really disappointing because those are the moments when people first have momentum as they're coming up behind someone. Now that's the time they're more likely to overtake, right? So
Yeah.
you know, I find those directed decisions very, very frustrating, and I have found for the last 4 races as they've decided not to concentrate on Mercedes for whatever reason. So yeah. Okay, so anyway, good year,
Yeah.
nonetheless. I'm damn glad Lewis won it again. He deserves multiple titles, so I think a three times world champion is definitely deserved. Of course, we'll look forward to next year, which will give me time to get a new computer and hopefully have all of the streaming problems sorted out and what have you.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll get my shit together to advertise even earlier than 5 minutes before we start.
That might be a good change. Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
helpful, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, next year we're going to try and include a lot more graphics and what have you to demonstrate what we're talking about. So hopefully we're going to change the format in that way and try and update it.
Yeah.
Plus
Why
have a
not?
few more panel members. So please, everybody, you know, you'll get a month's notice on that. We'll probably do a hangout on the test sessions as well
Hmm.
once the third one has been done. Also, new for next year on this format will be hopefully MotoGP season covered.
Yoo-hoo.
So
Yeah.
Fabio's going to take the lead on that one, and so just we'll post when we're going to do it, etc. I guess we'll be doing it on the night of the race,
Yeah.
or the day of the race on the Sunday or something, and then we'll do the F1 on the Monday.
Yeah. Just a couple of minutes, and I know that name is probably not going to say too much to most of the people, but unfortunately today passed away a great man. His name was Arturo Magni. Arturo Magni was a legend, a total legend in motorsports. He was the team director in MV Agusta. I'm talking about motorcycles. He under his direction, he won something like 78 world championship between manufacturers and riders, and he was the team director, and he had riders like Giacomo Agostini, Mike Elwood, Phil Reed, people like that, not exactly. Yeah, he was a big man. He was 90 years old, and he passed today. And that, I mean, it was a really sad moment. But the guy was a total legend, and I just want to make this shout out to Arturo, which he was a wonderful man. Great race director and team director, and yeah, great man overall in motorsports. I think. It was worth mentioning.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Yeah, and legendary names alongside him. So thank you very much. So yeah, that's where we're going to end it. Thank you everybody for watching and continuing the support. We will, as I said, give notice of next year's season starting, and hopefully it'll all become a lot smoother, and the no's and yeses will get on there. If anybody wants to join in, please don't hesitate to send me information about stuff if you want it included in next year's show and that kind of thing. And keep an eye on the collection. And thank you everybody very much.
Yep. Bye
Fabio,
bye.
any last? Bye bye.
No, 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 that's all. Bye bye. Take care.